Dylan Rieder in his first final.
There is also, however, the unlikely fact of Dylan's street league tenure to consider. To begin to know someone, to shed your prior resistance and come around to a more intimate relationship and then be surprised like this? Violation. As far as I can tell, Dylan competed in 3 years of the contests and generally finished solidly down near the bottom of the rankings, 20th, 14th, 21st, 12th. But in June 2013, something clicked, and the footage of that weekend's finals counteract any sense of personal violation. After 10 events, it's his first time making it to the finals, and speaking in terms of visuals, he's clearly out of place. He is the only one without any brand identifiers on his person. Paul Rodriguez is wearing a Nike SB tee and hat, Luan Oliveira a Nike tee, Chris Cole is in a DC shirt and a Monster wristband, Nyjah a DC shirt and Monster hat. Anyway, they all look stupid except for Dylan, who looks like Dylan in his plain white tee with a blown out neckline, less a deep V than garage door opened onto his chest, and it's peppered by holes down near the belt line.
We'll hold on to that 8.0 and stay in third place.
Of Nyjah, Felix, the announcer, says, so solid, so confident, no expression on his face whatsoever.
Nyjah
Houston ain't having it, gapped it back.
Also in these finals is one Mikey Taylor, former Alien Workshop teammate of Dylan's who, since 2013, has retired and turned into a venture capitalist anti-science motivational real estate crank. And the more you dislike Mikey Taylor, which I do a fair but not debilitating amount, the more enjoyment the following moments provide. In 2013, Mikey Taylor's physical presentation had turned, like much of skateboarding's, unabashedly derivative of Dylan's. His pants got suddenly shorter, and his hair took on a sheen and length. So here we are before the control section of the contest, dropping into live action with a shot of them side by side, Mikey and Dylan up against the black wall of the course's edge. It's a bit like the Truman Show. The world seems to just suddenly end at this wall.
Wow,
Though he is not trying to, I don't imagine, Dylan, by just being Dylan, manages to make Mikey look like the most awkward creature to ever stand on 2 feet.
So a 7.5 for Dylan Rieder, jumping him up into third place.
And what is Mikey doing standing there? Why, he's using both hands to pull at and loosen the crew neck of his DC shirt. As if suddenly, by proximity to Dylan, Mikey feels the pinch of his NASCAR contracts. They're on the Jumbotron. Dylan, meanwhile, seeing himself up there, he gives it the finger. Collarbone exposed, watches, and then drops his hand and smirks at what he's done on live television. Takes 2 long pushes and Smith grinds up and down the A-frame.
There it is, Smith grind up and down. Man, he's just putting on a demonstration of style, power. This is just too much.
He pushes along the top of the quarter pipe, drops in, and tries to kickflip up the giantly long set of 4 stairs, something of which none of the other technicians had even conceived. The rest of the contest seems, by comparison, to be taking place in the shallow end of the pool.
If he wants to go for it.
Suddenly what they're doing doesn't quite look like skateboarding even. It's strategizing, calculating, executing. Dylan is skating the course like he might have discovered it accidentally while out for a drive.
So here's Dylan Rieder on his 5th and final attempt.
The arena wants this kickflip, you could hear it. Oh man, he was like a foot above that stair, but his body was just behind it.
The final section of this event is almost too much to bear. Suddenly everyone on stage is landing their tricks, Dylan included.
The Dylan show continues.
He gaps to the bottom kink of the long rail, locking in just beautiful Smiths and lip slides. But everyone is elevating. It's bananas and hard not to think that everyone else's success has something to do with him. The threat of Dylan, a sense that, Jesus, what is he coming for this world now too? Anyone's game right now, goes the announcer, and Dylan is there, implausibly just off the lead. A brief pause here for the work of Brian Glennie and Steve Moule, whose revelatory article, Skateboarding and the Ecology of Urban Space, argues for the pluralism of the activity. Skateboarding, they say, vacillates between achievement and disruption of rule-bound competitive success, challenging rules even as it participates in them. To support this claim, the authors draw on the transcendental ecology of Thoreau and Emerson, pointing to skateboarding's wild qualities, calling it an activity that rewilds its environment. Thoreau believed that the wild was less about outdoor activity per se as the attitude of one's doing it. Quote, merely walking can be a wild activity if one walks in a way that participates with the ecological order as opposed to, for instance, social or political orders, end quote. I find these arguments convincing and recuperative. Skateboarding, they agree, quote, remains a mystery, end quote. Unlike with, say, Olympic diving or figure skating, in skateboarding contests, innovative rule-breaking play is not only encouraged but anticipated. This is true. But what Glennie and Mole don't accommodate for is the activity of watching skateboarding, either as a skater viewer or, more importantly, as a judge. I may revel at the fractional moment of Dylan's final trick of this 2013 Kansas City Street League, as he comes down from the backsmith off of the kinked rail, and his wheels skid out and his arms flail, and he carries Olive style-driven skateboarding upon his nearly exposed shoulders. But my values are not this event's values. No matter how close he came, this was never a format Dylan was ever going to win. Even here, on Dylan's best possible day, when all was falling just perfectly into place, he was literally out of his league. Dylan knew as much, of course. Like a camera, the scoring algorithm cannot account for style. Style is analog. Style is a matter of perception. By comparison, Nyjah is too good for perception, too successful for style or facial expressions. By the time of the post-contest interview with Nyjah, Dylan is already somewhere out back, probably smoking, amused.